Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it The Body Doesn't Let Go. It's based on a question someone asked me, and the question is, Nick, I understand that the hardest thing to let go of is the body, because when you are in pain or whatever, you don't know how to be indifferent to those movements. Also because there's an organ in the body that we normally use as an escape valve to get out of our heads, and it gives us pleasure that the world cannot give us, which he's referring to the sexual organ. So I'm going to share with you the comment that I made first in writing, and then we'll elaborate a bit. We're not going to be talking about the sexual organ. He just made a comment that seems to be a distraction, but it's much simpler than that. So I said, the body doesn't let go. What happens is that when sensations arise, you use them to believe that they have something to do with a body. You cannot pretend that the body isn't there, because that would be a useless form of denial. But you can stop projecting meaning onto sensations and experiences. In that case, you continue living as if you were a body, while simultaneously experiencing the underlying peace. The only time you're not aware that you are a body is when you are in deep sleep, or when you are no longer physically present, or when you're completely immersed in some kind of activity in which you are not aware that you're a body. That activity could be while you're cooking, while you're talking to someone, while you're reading, while you're engaged in a creative process, and so on. But if you see sensations arising without projecting meaning onto them, there's no suffering even when sensations occur. That is, even when you experience yourself as a body. In other words, I know that the person is pointing to that when we have feelings, sensations, strong feelings or whatever, it could be very pleasurable sensations or painful, There's a tendency of suggesting that is what makes me feel that I'm a body. But this is much, much simpler than that. All that there is right now is feelings, sensations, thoughts that seems to appear. And if you don't use the thought to project meaning onto anything, life continue, regular life. I'm not pretending that I'm not a body, that I don't have a body. I feel like I have a body, that's fine. But there's a recognition, there's a knowing that I am, which is where all this is pointing to. You see? The frustrating part of this is that the mind is trying to grasp this information, and this is not for the mind. You see? It's like if you're in water and you're asking me, where is the water? How can I answer that question? But I can say, just feel, sense. You see? And then the mind goes, I want to sense. But in reality, just sensing somehow allows you to, so you see, you're feeling, you're sensing the water, you're in it. See? Well, right now, when I ask you, if you don't identify with the content of the mind, with any thoughts, I'm not inviting you to find an answer. I am pointing you to what is. You see? And this isness it doesn't care whether the sensations are there or not. It doesn't care whether feelings or thoughts are there or not. You're just simply being. You see? And this is the simplicity and the obviousness of the message, but it's overlooked because the mind is trying to make sense of all this. You are being right now, are you not? And don't come with a conceptual answer saying, yeah, I feel that I'm being. No, I'm pointing to the fact that you are being, aliveness, right now, this is it. Without the mind interpretation, it just is. Life is. This is where this is all pointing to the fact that life is. And life unfolds as it will, according to whatever, I don't know, according to the play. You see, when an actor gets into a play, he's given a script, so the actor knows what's going to happen in the play, according to the script. In this case, we are the actors in a play, but the script is not given to us, so we know where we're heading to. The script is unfolding as it goes along. The difference is, am I believing that I am actually a real person in a real world, or am I conscious that I am? And in that sense, I am is the script unfold, but has no effect on the fact that I am. You see? Nothing has an effect on you, capital Y, on the I am. No movement in the water can have any effect on the water. So no movement, thoughts, sensations, feelings, the body here or the body not here, none of that has an effect on what I am. And this is where these videos are pointing to the fact that you are. And once again, don't try to grab this with the mind, because it doesn't make any sense. It's not going to help you. It's like those three-dimensional pictures that when you see them with the naked eye, you cannot see anything. You just see, I don't know what this is. But then they say, relax the mind, relax the vision. In other words, don't try to look for anything in it. Just relax the vision. And when you relax the vision, when there's no focus on nothing specifically, all of a sudden the picture reveals itself in 3 dimensions. You see? And you're like, oh yeah, now I can see it. But in reality, it's because you're not trying to put any effort on it. You see? Well, if you're trying to put any effort on being, you're missing the mark. Being is what's happening. Always. Whether the thoughts are there, whether feelings are there, it doesn't matter what. Being is all there is, and we're pointing to being. And this is not something you can go and start talking about this because you're missing the mark again. This is not about talking about beingness. It's just a recognition that it is. I believe Ramesh Balsekar used to say that what a guru is, in an actual sense, not as someone who says, I am going to lead a particular, I don't know, organization, because that will be supporting the belief that there's an ego. You see, it's an ego now thinks that he can help other egos. He keeps holding on to its own ego. To the ego, which ego means that believe in separation is what I mean. So he said, a guru is someone like you, me, or whatever, who one day this changing mentality or whatever, this awareness is seen. It's just like, oh, it's just like you notice. It's just like in that moment, there's a recognition by no one, but again, I don't know what words to use, that I'm not a body, I don't have a body, there's no body, all that there is what is, and that's it. So when that recognition takes place, he or she continues living his or her life just like before, doesn't talk to anybody about this. It's just that now he's living from that particular awareness, right? And if they ask him to become a religious leader or spiritual leader, he says no, because that'll contradict what I have the recognition that I am, which is I am. Not that I am a body and there's body. There's no body, there's no one. That's sealed. It's just I am. And then what happens is that those who are ready for this, very mysteriously, he used that word, the universe will make sure that these two will meet. And that's when the seeming guru-disciple relationship begins. But all that is doing the guru is pointing. He's not telling the disciple or giving a particular set of rules of what to do. It's pointing. That's all he does, is pointing. You see? is pointing to the fact that I am, you are. And of course the disciple has all kinds of questions because there's so much identification with the sense of identity that it's going to come up all sorts of different questions. But the guru that is already speaking from this recognition and knows what the disciple is dealing with because he's been through that, says, yeah, I know. It seems that way, but he keeps pointing relentlessly back to what is. You see? So if I have this 3D picture and I'm asking you, just relax your vision, and you keep asking questions, yeah, but what's going to happen when I relax the vision? I cannot tell you this is what's going to happen. No, what I'm going to say is that relax the vision, notice what happens. Yeah, but what am I going to find? Don't worry about it, because if I tell you what you're going to find, you're going to be looking for it and you're still engaging. I'm simply saying relax the vision. Why am I saying that? Because I had relaxed the vision and I was able to see. So because I had the experience, now I'm just simply saying there's nothing to look. All I'm saying is relax the vision. And I keep saying that over and over again. And whoever is ready, that finally he doesn't get frustrated because he's so much in the mind, and he finally is ready to relax the vision because he's been pointlessly, constantly pointing to the fact that just relax the vision. Then at some point the disciple relaxes the vision because the mind has become more and more less distraction, stop gaining protagonism, and then the disciple sees the picture. It's, oh, that's when the disciple realized that he didn't have to do anything. And then now the disciple becomes a guru. And if somebody may need to see that picture and they are ready for it, then they'll be drawn to that particular individual, if you want to use that word, and it'll be saying the same thing. You see? Well, these videos are pointing to the fact that you are, and that's why the message is not going to change. You see? But the mind keeps asking questions and he wants something. Give me something to do. I don't care. Whatever. You see? But there's nothing to do. Simply be. So I'm pointing to the fact that you are. That's it right now. If you don't identify with any thoughts, if you don't believe any thoughts, let them be there. They will be there. That's fine. But right now, what remains when there's no identification with any thoughts? When you don't believe them, what remains? It's not going to be anything special. It's not going to be something esoteric or transcendental, because that is another concept. That's another idea that mind conjures up to think that this is what's going to happen when you, become, awaken, enlightened. No, it doesn't matter. Right now, when there's no identification with any thoughts, they're just passing clouds. Feeling sensations may appear, but if the thought is not engaged trying to give meaning to them, then they're not a problem either. They're just feelings and sensations, that's all. If there's no identification with any of that, what remains? And if you answer that question, you went back to the mind. Because I said again, I'm not asking you for an answer. I'm pointing to what already is. So what remains is what is. That's it. This is it. And when the mind finally is willing to, and this is recognized, then the mind no longer puts on a fight because you have no arguments. Now you can see through everything. While you keep living your normal life. You're still taking the kids to school, you're still going to work, you still do whatever you do, but everything is done while you know that you are. You see? And that's how you rest in the peace that surpasses all understanding. And you still appear as a body, and it appears as if you take care of the body, but you know that you're not even taking care of anything. That is life expressing through you. But you rest, you see? And that's when the recognition is, oh my God, this is it. My whole life I've been listening to the mind, trying to chase things, and I'm realizing that all I had to do is do nothing, just be. And in beingness, it's where all the doing happens anyway. Right now you are being. I am being. Being is all that there is, and yet through this seeming, call it object or instrument or whatever, look how doing is happening. Words are being said. Message seems to be conveyed. A film is being taken, this thing is being filmed on a camera. You see, this is doing, that's fine. And yet, while that doing happens, it happens in what I am, or it seems to happen in what I am. Well, same thing with you. Life unfolds, but you are. And the body is no longer a distraction. Even when feelings and sensations appear, it's not a distraction. You remain as you are. Well, it appears as if though you are a body that is moving through the world of appearances. And again, this is a shift in mentality that takes place that cannot be explained, cannot be talked about, but it's already pointing to. When I ask you, if you don't identify with the thoughts, with the content of the mind, what remains, that is the equivalent of relaxing the vision. In the 3D picture, the image is already there and will always be there. While the mind is relaxed, the image is seen. While the mind is no longer relaxed, the image is not gone, it's still there but cannot be seen. Well, right now, while the thought is engaged judging the present experience, the fact that you are is overlooked. Hasn't gone anywhere. It's just simply overlooked. But as you don't identify with the content of the mind, then the fact that you are is clearly seen. It is. It's before the thought appears, while the thought seems to appear, and after the thought appears. While the body seems to be there, before the body seems to be there, and after the body's gone. So you see, doesn't affect the fact that, or the appearance of a body does not affect the fact that I am. So we're pointing here to that, I am, that's all. Right now you are being while it seems as if though you're watching this video. You see? Well, this is the same attitude that is going to be brought to every single experience that seems to be happening in your life. While you're going to the bathroom, while you're going to the kitchen, you're going to the post office, while you're driving, while you're talking to somebody, although all that doingness seems to be appearing, somehow you're resting, you know that you know. Not you personally, but it's a way of saying. And you're resting in being. Because being is all that there is. Being is what you are. Call it love, call it essence, call it oneness, unicity, eternal, beingness. Just don't call it anything. Just be, because that's all there is. Well, this is the inspiration that came through. I hope it served, and as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can be extended.